everyone. So, what if I told you that businesses are being rewarded and punished for recycling? That these very uh, batteries powering our clean energy future are already catching fire, literally, and that millions of pounds of edible food are trashed daily while families across the US go hungry. That's not dramatic, it's reality. So, welcome to Environmental News, the good, the bad, and the ugly, where we don't sugarcoat sustainability. I'm your host, Stacey Savage, aka the Texas Trash Talker, founder and CEO of Zero Waste Strategies. I run an environmental consulting firm here in the Austin area, and we specialize in helping business clients reduce waste to landfills to increase their revenue for cost savings. So, in this particular episode, and I do this weekly, we are driving into kind of shocking wins and fails of business recycling, battery disposal, and food waste diversion. Those are the three topics that we're going to be taking a look at today and doing a bit of a deep dive. So go ahead and stick around. Your health and your wallet and our planet depend on it. So we're going to do a topic, and then I'm going to list the good, the bad, and the ugly for each topic. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll be checking the chat periodically. So the first topic we're going to be talking about is business recycling. So in this topic, the first category of the good, we're talking about SWACO's business recycling champion program. So here's a little background for you. Central Ohio's Solid Waste Authority. It's called SWACO or SWACO, however you want to say it. It's launched its business recycling champion program to target the 60% of landfill waste that comes from commercial sources in that area, so business properties. And initially, they were offering containers and subsidies and signage and startup rebates that would go up to about $2,000. But recently, in April, SWACO revamped the whole program in April, and they include now both recycling and food waste diversion for businesses. And businesses can also now receive up to $10,000 in city or organizational support across their containerized systems, their signage for employee education, and even their hauling. So this is why it matters. This shift really turns theoretical sustainability into practical action. Participants do need to complete a waste audit. And what that is when you get up to your elbows for a couple of hours up into your waste stream and you start picking out what is waste, what is food waste, what is recyclable materials, and you find all the percentages and the composition of that waste stream, and you figure out where we could be recycling more or even, reducing food waste. So it's not just the waste audit, but they also have to create from the data of the waste audit a waste diversion plan. So how are we going to keep materials out of landfill by following this plan? But you have to do the waste audit first, right, in order to gather the data. So the other thing that they have to do is they have to educate their staff, and it's usually on an annual basis. And they have to ensure that real reductions are happening. It's not just lip service, right? So, a SWACO-backed office complex reported a 40% drop in trash and a 60% boost in recyclables within 6 months. So through this program, this is not only to cut fees, but to boost ESG credentials. So don't forget that investors and customers and shareholders are looking at a business's environmental sustainability and governance policies. So if you can boost your ESG credentials, that's a wonderful program to be involved in, right? So this makes sustainability really smart for those businesses as well as profitable. In this topic of business recycling, we're going to get to the next category, which is the bad. So Houston, I'm lifelong Texan. I grew up near Houston, and this is just like knife in the heart kind of thing. So Houston's plastics recycling nightmare. So here's a little background for you. In 2022, Houston introduced a drop-off program promising to recycle all plastics, including hard to process types like bubble wrap, those thin, stretchy films, plastic films, and even styrofoam via a chemical recycling or advanced recycling process. So what went wrong here is more around that 20 months up until now since that 2022 kind of drop off program initiated, hundreds of thousands of pounds of plastics just kind of sat at one of the waste management facilities outside of Houston. And that site failed multiple fire safety inspections. It missed hazardous material permits. It didn't have any fire lanes, that kind of thing. So this was raising very serious safety risks and questions, besides just the whole environmental problem. So the Houston community did react. There was a leaked public sector memo from a collaborating recycler that withdrew support, and they basically said that they don't want to be, or they don't want this reputation and image involved in such irregular and risky practices. So there's a key takeaway here that infrastructure and oversight are highly critical. Some cities might have really ambitious drop-off programs that flop because the solid, without solid fire codes and capacity and even oversight and accountability. So the third category in our business recycling topic is the ugly. This one is ExxonMobil's advanced recycling. Is it greenwashing or is it progress? I'm going to go on record and say I do not support chemical recycling, do not support advanced recycling, right? It doesn't fit with the zero waste hierarchy in my mind. So here's a little background on that. ExxonMobil's first advanced recycling plant, which is in Baytown, another Texas location, probably a little bit outside of Houston, again, it really began processing about 80 million pounds a year in 2022. But in November 2024, the company announced a $200 million expansion to boost output to 500 million pounds a year by 2026. Now, there's been a lot of criticism around this. Journalists and watchdog groups in the area are arguing that this technology would just breaks plastics into fuel feedstock. It does very, very little to reduce the virgin plastics production process, which requires oil extraction. It requires drilling to get virgin new plastics. It also releases even more greenhouse gases than landfill or incineration processes. So there's a red flag here. Even industry funded studies frame it as an energy intensive and yielding few environmental benefits. Critics fear that it is PR wrapped in a toxic smoke, and it's a big mistake for the community. So, this is something to watch. It's something that many communities are looking to a large state like Texas and a large city, large metropolitan area like Houston or Baytown outside of Houston that produces or can process millions of pounds of plastics, per year. But is it greenwashing? Is it a legitimate solution to the plastics issue, the plastics problem that all of our communities deal with, that we're plagued with? So now we're going to move on to topic number 2, which is battery recycling. In this category, the story around the good for battery recycling is the redwood materials and the circular battery economy. So the background on this is that there was a plant or a facility founded in 2017 by a former co-founder of Tesla named JB Straubel. It's called the Redwood Materials, and it's aiming to close the battery supply loop. So they collect over 20 gigawatt hours of batteries every single year. It's enough to power roughly 100,000 electronic or electric vehicles. And their goal is to grow to 100 gigawatt hours annually by 2026. And that would be by using recovered minerals to supply 1 million electric vehicles worth of cathode materials. And that's from the Business Insider. So there is some federal backing for this. In 2023, they secured a conditional $2 billion loan from the Department of Energy. The DOE has an advanced tech vehicles program, and that supports new facilities in Nevada and South Carolina. So this is major, guys, with 95% recovery rates verified by Argonne National Lab to perform on par with virgin materials. This model shrinks environmental footprint and reduces reliance on imports. So still in this category of battery recycling, we're going to get to the bad. The bad is Li-Cycle's downfall. So here's the rise and fall of Li-Cycle. Once a very promising Canadian-born recycling hub in the U.S., Rochester, the Li-Recycle drew attention for its tech that rebounded lithium and nickel. But by early 2025, it paused operations and filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy back in April. This halted construction and it stranded investors and partners. Here's the core issue. It over-leveraged its own expansion. It over-leveraged its technology, and there were some bottlenecks. And the market competition just, it all contributed to its downfall. So there's some consequences to think about here. Is the setback disrupts the U.S. battery material ambitions and leaves a gap that Redwood is racing to fill. So here's the ugly part of this category on battery recycling is the Georgia fire and illegal lithium scrap dumping. So there was a big incident in July 2023 where the Metro Site Recycling Center in Commerce, Georgia, it erupted in a massive lithium-ion battery fire. So if you're not aware that lithium-ion batteries can explode, catch fire, they could be ignited. Please be aware that this puts workers in harm's way. If you have lithium ion batteries, any type of batteries, it really should be either recycled. And maybe you could take a look at places like Batteries Plus or Walmart or Target. Best Buy might take back batteries in your area. Batteries Plus, I know for sure does. And maybe your local household hazardous waste facility takes those recyclable batteries back and does the right thing with them. But anything that you can do to keep batteries out of the trash is really important. And they don't belong in your recycling bin either. They're not recyclable through like a regular recyclable or recycling plant that would handle like cardboard and paper and metals. Batteries are a very different category for recycling. So it's important to keep them out of the landfill trash. Try to recycle where you can in your community. And if you absolutely have to put them in the trash, then you want to make sure to either put them in a Ziploc bag or some kind of thick plastic container to where they're covered and there's a lid on top so that they're not spreading around once that load gets dumped. So just something to think about so we don't put workers in harm's way. So getting back to the story, though, the SK Battery America, which is a company there in Georgia, was accused of illicitly dumping hazardous scrap there. It burned for 4 days and it needed 3 million gallons of water to extinguish. So here's the aftermath. SK Battery paid $31 million in damage. And during litigation, the plaintiffs claimed that SK destroyed critical evidence, including videos showing disposal into dumpsters and internal filings mentioning 62 internal fires at that plant. So here's why it matters. Mishandled batteries aren't just waste, they're a public safety disaster in the making, requiring very stringent regulation and transparency. So, moving on to category 3, which is waste diversion of food. So, think about your restaurants, theme parks, any of your curbside composting, anything that we can do to keep food waste out of the landfill as well. This is what we're going to get into right now. So, under the topic of food waste diversion, well, the first category of the good is called Pasquay's Zero Waste Biodigester, which is in Denver. So Pasquay restaurant, which is inside the Populous Hotel in Denver, which was built from inception to be zero waste. In May 2025, Food and Wine reported its on-site biodigester, which was from a company called BioGreen 360 subscription service, and it converts all food scraps into compost, with compost to be sent to local farms in that area. And so there's a great way or a great story to be told around this because it's scalable. So the diversion runs at about 60% of the hotel's waste stream. So 60% of the hotel's waste stream was food waste, and if they are able to compost it and keep it out of the landfill trash and keep it, in the loop, in the circular loop, then they're reducing their hauling fees by quite a significant amount. So the staff, the back of the house staff, and even the hotel staff that's not food trained or food permitted, they were all trained to reuse trims and turning scraps into things like ragu. So all the employees know what the food waste protocols are now, whether you work in the kitchen or not. And the company, the really inspires a lot of other companies in the area, a lot of other companies in the same industry. And starting clean allowed this team to bake sustainability right into their culture. So they had data that was tracked by an environmental manager, and it makes diversion really effortless and quite authentic to their brand. So the next category of the bad in food waste diversion is DC's compost bins were getting stolen. I did an update on this story in our monthly newsletter. So if you'd like to subscribe to the Zero Waste Business monthly newsletter, it's catered to businesses. We have an update on this particular story, but let me give you the background of what happened. So in DC, there was some serious rollout trouble. The 9,000 pilot households starting in the fall of 2023 for curbside composting. Over 4,000 5-gallon compost buckets just up and vanished. Many of them were taken by construction crews who mistook them for basic utility buckets. They were white with a lid. So it looked like paint buckets, 5-gallon buckets, right, that you would see normally at Lowe's or something like that. And so people were just like, oh, there's a random bucket. I can take it. And so all these buckets that were given out by the city were being swiped. And the residents didn't really know what to do. So there were some major quick fixes by the city. And by early 2025, the city switched to really bright orange lidded 7-gallon bins that were clearly marked as city property. Now only 30 of 500 have since gone missing. So that's a significant improvement from the thievery that the city residents were experiencing. But they have diverted over 75,000 pounds of food waste every already to date since the program's inception. There's some major lessons learned here that even the best program can flop without good design for custody and theft deference and or deterrence, excuse me. And a rare but a real recommendation is for other cities, just a kind of cautionary tale. And in this same category or topic of food waste reduction or diversion, the ugly is Farm Link's rescue versus date labeling gridlock. So there's a success story here that since 2020, the Farm Link project has routed over 130 million pounds of surplus farm produce from two communities who are in need. And that serves over 400 areas across 48 states with just 20 staff and 600 plus volunteers. There's a barrier, however. Food waste from household shelves persist due to vague date labels. So if you think about, um, you know, the date labels on food packaging that shows best by versus sell by versus use by dates, what's the difference? It's really hard to know the average consumer. And we don't want to get our families sick, right? So we take that date and we say, oh, can't use it past this date. Well, actually, that is for the manufacturer to convey to the grocer the peak freshness of that product. And it does not mean that's when the food spoils. Now, in the US, there is no regulation other than baby formula for any foods to have a food dating or labeling of that type. And so there's a whole movement right now about getting much more clear messaging about whenever a food item might face spoilage. So just take that as you will into your own home or to your business and, uh, you know, just play it smart. Just because it says it's past a certain date doesn't mean that it is spoiled. It doesn't mean it's bad. You want to make sure and use your discernment here. So, since 2020, only 9 out of 85 state bills to standardize labels have passed. So there's a big impact here. Consumers continue discarding perfectly edible foods, raising the question, why are millions rescued while millions more are just thrown away by mistake? So in conclusion, there's a whole tapestry of opportunity here and quite a bit of risk. So from biodigesters and circular battery pioneers to major fossil fuel industries pivoting, we've seen transformative business successes, but we've also witnessed the consequences of poor planning and lax in oversight. So these stories really do highlight how environmental efforts hinge on smart policy, robust infrastructure, transparency, and intact supply chains. The takeaway here is clear. We can build sustainable systems that work, and we absolutely must. So here's how you can help drive change, not only at home, but at your office. So if you're at home, begin composting. You can switch to rechargeable batteries instead of the disposable type. You can check your local recycling guidelines as well and make sure that you're following all of the guidelines and you're not putting materials in your recycling or composting bins that don't belong. At work, you can organize a waste audit, like I said, dig inside of your waste up to your elbows for 6 hours to find out what's in there. If you don't want to get your hands dirty, hire me. I'll come and bring my team and we'll do it for you. And then you can also join local recycling programs to install battery collection bins at your office spaces. Or you can launch a cafeteria compost pilot and train your back of the house kitchen staff to handle food waste so that it's not going to landfill, it's going to the compost bin instead. And then, if you want to, as a voter or a taxpayer, anyone who lives here has the right to urge elected officials to support clear food label laws, enforce fire safety at these recycling sites, and also invest in safe battery protocols. So every small decision here helps shape a cleaner, smarter future for all of us. If this is an episode that inspired you, please like and share it, comment with your own recycling story, and subscribe to be part of the change. If your company is interested in our client waste reduction services for your business, please contact us at zerowaste.org. That's the number zero, WASTE.org. But until next time, champion the good, challenge the bad, and dismantle the ugly. We will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining. Bye, y'all.